All right, so the next couple sections are going to talk about how to solve quadratics. So we actually learned one method to solve quadratics last chapter. Okay, that was factoring. Okay, so you already know one way to solve. Okay, so today what we're going to talk about is solving quadratics using the square root method. Okay, so if you look at all three of the problems that are on your screen, okay, they all have a squared term. So you've got x squared, you've got p squared, you've got a squared. Okay, there is no x term. So reminder, quadratics are in the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, we don't have a bx term. Square rooting, okay, you can only use if there is no bx term. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get the x squared by itself. So we're going to divide by 3. So we get x squared equals 9. Okay, now square roots and squares undo each other, just like adding and subtracting undo each other, multiplication and division undo each other. So what we're going to do to solve for x is we're going to square root both sides. So when you type square root of 9 in your calculator, you get 3. Okay, the other thing that you have to remember, okay, is whenever you square root, you get a plus and a minus. Because if I take 3 squared and negative 3 squared, both of those equal 9. Okay, so either one of those could be my answer. Okay, second one, subtract 12 from both sides. We get p squared equals 0. So you square root both sides. You get p is plus or minus 0. But we actually don't write plus or minus 0, we just write 0. Okay, so if you ever have to square root 0, just put 0. It's not positive or negative. Then the last one, we add 3 to both sides. We get a squared equals negative 1. Okay, so then we square root both sides. So then when you try this in your calculator, you get an error. Okay, this is a no solution problem. When you try to square root a negative number, you will get an error on your calculator because we can't actually square root negative numbers. Okay, so that's important. Can't square root negative numbers. All right, so then these are just a little bit more complicated. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to treat this like our x squared term. So we want to get that by itself first. So we're going to divide by 4 on both sides. So I get x plus 6 squared equals 36. Now we have to get rid of the square. Don't try to subtract 6 first. Okay, that's inside the parentheses. Okay, so we're going to square root both sides. So we get x plus 6 equals plus or minus 6. Okay, at this point, you have to change this into 2 different problems. X plus 6 equals positive 6, and x plus 6 equals negative 6. Okay, because the x plus 6 could be either one of those answers. So then you solve. So you get x equals 0 there, and you get x equals negative 12 there. Okay, so with these ones, the more complicated ones, you're not just going to get the same number plus and minus. You're going to get 2 totally different numbers. Okay. All right, so divide by 7 on this one. So we get x minus 3 squared equals 16. Okay. Square root both sides. X minus 3 equals plus or minus 4. Okay, what I want you to do in your notes is I want you to finish out this problem. Okay, I'm going to check that you did it in your notes tomorrow during class.